Hello, I'm Lauren Green for Tech Take. Restoring hands, arms, feet, and legs to those wounded in the service for our country should be a national priority. And now, finally, it is, with very promising advances underway. DARPA is committed to giving wounded service members and veterans back full and natural functioning limbs. Haptics, or hand proprioception, and touch interfaces is working on creating a solution for amputees. To discuss these breakthroughs and these extraordinary new prosthetics for vets, we are joined by War Games columnist Allison Barrie. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
This sounds very Star Wars. I mean, it sounds like something that should be 200 or 300 years in the future.
But something we deserve now. Our warriors deserve it now. And unfortunately, our generation of warriors are facing and having to handle and contend with an unprecedented rate of limb loss. We've had such fantastic advances and innovations in combat medicine and tech to protect our warriors, body armor, things like that. But the side effect is that while people are surviving, they're often having to survive without limbs. And that's a really tough ask of our nation's warriors. So I'm so excited about this.
This is a very important point you bring up, because in wars past, soldiers just died.
They did.
From losing limbs and things.
Tragically, yes.
But now they're living with, amputated arms and legs. And now what's going to happen? How do you actually create a limb that acts within the nervous system of the soldier?
It's so tough. So there are a number of programs that I'm very enthusiastic about. But DARPA made a recent announcement, and DARPA is the research kind of arm. They're really forward-leaning thinkers. They create really advanced tech. It can be protective tech. It can become weapons for our military, for national defense. But they're also really pioneering in this area, which I think people will be surprised by. So a recent announcement is a program called haptics, and you walked us through the very complicated, long acronym. And it's a very fancy, high-tech way of saying, how do we connect the feeling of touch? How do we restore, if we have a state-of-the-art prosthetic, how do we restore that sense of touch? How do we give that person the sensory feedback? So if they're feeling something, their brain is registering as touch. Or if I were to touch your prosthetic arm, you could feel that, and it would have the natural reaction, in your brain, and process it naturally. So that's a really big ask, but it's very promising. They've selected 8 teams with a lot of fantastic, other teams out there. They selected 8 teams to take the ball forward in this program.
How does it work? How do you interface with the nervous system, the organic nervous system?
Yes.
And then interface that with a prosthetic limb?
It's very complicated. It's tough stuff. So there's different phases of the program. The first thing they really needed to crack was really state-of-the-art prosthetic limbs, the kind of stuff you're talking about in Star Wars, that actually look and function like real hands. We've got some great footage that folks can take a look at. They're probably having a look at it right now. But then how do you connect it to the nervous system, like you said? So there's another program DARPA has called RENET, and that's been focusing on how do we tap into the nervous system, those pathways that are communicating the signals between the hands and the brain. And haptics is taking the ball the next step forward and actually creating kind of the plug, if you will. They've done the research on the connections, and they found that in amputated limbs, interestingly, there's still motor and sensory reaction in those nerves, so that they're still working decades after an amputation. So if we could figure out how to connect those state-of-the-art limbs with all the dexterity and all the advanced mechanics and engineering, if we could figure out how to plug that into, as you said, our natural nervous system, then that's really taking us to the next level.
One of the things we've heard of for amputees is sort of phantom pains of a limb that is hurting that's not there. Is that what they're tapping into?
Yeah, that's such a great point, and I'm so glad you brought that up. Phantom pain is something about 80% of amputees have to live with. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible condition, and it's so unfair that they have to endure that. And the hope is that by reconnecting, as you suggested, with the nervous system, it will, if not eliminate, hopefully eliminate that pain, but if not eliminate, at least help to alleviate it, which is fantastic news for the people that are suffering out there.
Wow. And how do they find out more about what's going on with DARPA?
Right. DARPA will continue to make postings on their website, and I'm sure we'll see things in the news. But what I really want to stress is that they're really, really accelerating this program. And for those who are suffering, it's long overdue, and it's not fair. It's taking this long. But as you really framed well, it's complicated stuff. Yeah. But they're fast-tracking it, and the hope is that within 4 years, people will have the whole system to take home and try over a 12-month period. So I've already been consulting with FDA in advance and all that complicated stuff, and doing smart things like leveraging things that are already available commercially for and other applications, like even pacemakers. They're using technology from that.
Wonderful stuff. Allison Barrie, thank you so much for bringing this to us. For more on this, be sure to check out Allison's full article on foxnews.com. I'm Lauren Green, and thanks for watching.